Testing. Testing. Cubs. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. My name is Jesus Martinez.
And my name is Melanie Mendez.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Texas pledge in a moment of silence.
Good morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence.
Thank you, Cubs. You may be seated.
The lion ways to be respectful, responsible, safe, and kind. Let's cover our coughs and sneezes, wash our hands, treat each other well, be nice to each other, not say mean things, and be there for each other.
Attention, Cubs. Cubs, remember to follow the dress code. Polos must be solid colors. No torn jeans, no Crocs, or flippers allowed. Hoodies must be zipped or be clean attire.
Attention, Cubs. The end of year awards have been scheduled. Please look at the dates to determine what day applies to you. 6th grade, May 28th at 1 p.m.
7th grade, May 27th at 1 p.m.
8th grade, May 30th at 10 a.m.
Attention, Cubs. Clinton Junior online registration is now open for the 2025-2026 school year. All returning students must register. Please use the URL address on the screen to register online. Let's go to the other side of the studio for an answer from our guest.
Good morning, Cubs. We want to wish you a happy Wednesday, but also we want to introduce, we have announcements from Miss Genesis, but we also want to introduce Miss Elizabeth Aponte. Say hi, ma'am.
Hi, good morning.
She is our new receptionist up front, so we just want to welcome her to Clint Jr. and then so that you guys can put a face to the name, but welcome Miss Aponte to Clint Jr. and we're going to let her get back to the front office.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And then Genesis had some announcements.
Yes. Okay, so student council members, we have a meeting after school today. We're going to plan out for the talent show. And we're gonna make posters for the school, and it's after school.
All right, thank you. Bye, Miss Genesis. Bye, Miss Aponte. Okay, Cubs. So we do have a talent show coming up in May for anyone interested to showcase your talents. Teachers also are welcome to participate. Also, Cubs, we will be making a small change to the end-of-year awards schedule. We will be flipping 6th and 7th grade, so we will be sending that information out today to your parents and to you. But it is a new date. We had to switch because we had a scheduling conflict for student council, which is mostly 6th graders, and that's the day of the awards. So we will flip that. Also, online registration is open, and we will be also advertising next week. If you have your online registration done by next Friday, we have an ice cream for you at lunch. The following Friday, we'll do hot Cheetos and cheese. And then as we get to the end of map testing and your online registration is done, then that's when we'll start looking at free dress for the remainder of the year. But only if your online registration is done, and that we will let you know when.
Also, Cubs, our last day of testing is tomorrow. We're testing math. The entire school is testing. So please rest up tonight, eat a good breakfast tomorrow, charge your Chromebooks, and be ready to test tomorrow.
Yes, big day tomorrow. Today is also Administrative Professionals Day. We definitely want to say how much we appreciate our admin professionals. That is Ms. B, our LPAC clerk, Ms. Rojas, our registrar, Ms. Samantha Trejo, our attendance clerk, Ms. Samantha Nunez, our scheduling clerk, and Ms. Aponte as well, who joins us. And the last person to recognize who keeps all of us together, Ms. Monica Soto, our campus secretary. But have a wonderful day, ladies. Thank you for all that you guys do to hold our campus together and keep everything running. We definitely appreciate you.
Yes.
Cubs, we love you. The decisions you make do have consequences, so make good decisions. After school, we need to get to where we need to be, whether it's tutoring or ACE or home. We do not have, it's not a park. We can't hang out. We can't wait for other buses. You have to get on the buses that pertain to you and for the purpose that you are here. This week is the last week for late buses. Please make sure that you're getting home though. Cubs, have a wonderful Wednesday.
Today's cafeteria menu includes
Bacon cheeseburger,
cheese quesadilla,
sunflower butter and jelly sandwich,
chicken patty sandwich,
spicy pepperoni pizza,
cheeseburger,
spicy bread and chicken sandwich,
cheese pizza,
grilled cheese,
turkey and cheese sandwich.
all-American salad. We would like to wish a very special birthday to Irvin Hernandez.
Angelique Rivera.
Happy birthday! Cubs, let's take a look at our weather for today.
Happy birthday to Angelique and Irvin. But this morning it was a 73 and it's going to go up to an 88 and then back down to a 74 to a 63. It's going to be a clear day throughout the day and then we're going to have 0% chance of rain. So back to you, Cubs.
This concludes today's announcements. Cubs, remember that we love you
And that our Clint Jr.
We are working together for a better tomorrow.